Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Byington, and in this video we are going to talk about Petrarch's Sonnet 34. This sonnet in particular, while many of them talk about his love for Laura, this one draws on the mythology of Apollo and Daphne from Ovid's Metamorphoses. And so essentially, the speaker, who we may read in this case as Petrarch, and because it's talking about his longing for Laura, um, we can read this as he sees a parallel in the pain he suffers from not being able to be with Laura, to not be able to spend time with her. He can only admire her from a distance. He compares that to Apollo suffering. Now, when you read the myth of Apollo and Daphne, remember that the way that that whole situation between the two of them happens, it's totally against the will of both of them. The Eros, or Cupid, shoots two arrows into the air because Apollo has offended him. And the golden arrow hits Apollo, makes him fall madly in love with Daphne, but Daphne is hit by the other arrow, an arrow made of lead, which makes her instantly hate the first person she sees, which is Apollo, because he's pursuing her because he's madly in love with her. Um, Something else to say about the surface of this, or rather beneath the surface of this, while it is talking about Apollo being like madly in love with Daphne, there is a bit of, just like in much of Greek mythology and like 90% of the art that's rendered, literature, paintings, sculptures, plays, etc., it's essentially a rape narrative, or it is considered that it falls along those lines. But anyhow, in this time when Petrarch is writing that, they don't have the discourse for that sort of thing. So before you're like, oh, this is cringe that Petrarch is comparing himself to Apollo being in this situation, that's not, they wouldn't have seen it in the light that we see it in the 21st century. So, um, for Petrarch, all there is just this pain that he's trying to articulate in the absence of Laura. So he tells Apollo, um, early in the first couple of lines of the poem, depending on which translation that you read, that he must admire the laurel tree. Remember, Daphne is transformed into a laurel tree. And he then goes on to say, yes, that same place where it's, Apollo's last time grasping at Daphne before she is no longer Daphne, where she's transformed into the tree. The speaker is saying, me too, Apollo. I'm right there at that same place, just right, aggravatingly out of reach, just slightly intangible. Just can't be with her. For that one, it's like there's this time and space that's just enough to make it painful and make it this unrequited love. The speaker ends the poem by saying that all the speaker and Apollo can do is merely gaze on their love interest, since neither will never actually be able to be with the woman that they are in love with. And there are some ways you can interpret that there is, in that time, that's seen as a sort of romantic thing to dote on someone from afar. That now I know we would say, well, he didn't just write a poem about her, he wrote a massive collection about her, he's obsessed with her. But listen, they didn't have Candy Crush and stuff to occupy their time then. So if you have someone on your mind, there aren't as many things to um replace that person who's on your mind. So the whole idea here that you want to walk away from with Sonnet 34 is just the parallel of the speaker seeing himself like Apollo, forever kind of doomed, like he's been hit by a golden arrow to be madly in love with Laura, the way Apollo is with Daphne, but they are just like, oh, just that slight bit out of reach, can never actually be with them. Okay, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching.